The arena of stars was alive with noise. It was not just a place. It was a world inside a world, built in the middle of a giant space station that floated above a dying sun. The walls of the arena shone with strange lights, glowing like the surface of a star. Thousands of alien voices rose in waves of laughter, shouts, and cruel joy. This was the place where warriors were broken. This was the place where bets were made, where lives were traded as if they were nothing more than coins. And tonight, the game was about to begin. The seats were filled with creatures from dozens of worlds. Some had scales that glistened like metal. Some had claws longer than knives. Others had eyes that burned like fire. Every being in the stands had come for blood, for battle, for entertainment. At the center of the arena, the floor was smooth stone cracked with old scars. Those scars were not from time, but from battles fought again and again. Each line was a memory of screams, of broken bones, of lost hopes. Above the arena, a voice boomed. It was the voice of the warlord. He was huge, with skin as dark as iron and tusks that curved from his mouth. His eyes glowed yellow, like molten gold. "Welcome, creatures of the stars." His voice shook the walls. "Tonight you will see courage. You will see death. You will see the weak fall before the strong." The crowd roared. Some slammed their fists on the metal rails. Others threw coins, shouting the names of their chosen fighters. And then, the warlord raised his hand. The noise slowly quieted. His tusked mouth twisted into a grin. "Tonight's prize," he said, "is worth more than gold, worth more than ships, worth more than power." From the shadows, guards pulled chains, and with those chains, they dragged forward a woman. She stumbled into the light. Her wrists were locked in steel cuffs. A collar of iron was around her neck. Her clothes were torn, but her face carried strength even in her pain. She was not an alien. She was human. The crowd gasped, then shouted louder than before. "A human woman," someone roared. "She will belong to the winner," another shouted. The warlord raised his arms. "Yes, she is the reward in tonight's bet. To the victor, she is yours." The woman lifted her head. Her eyes were sharp, burning with anger, but also with fear. She scanned the arena, searching for something, anything that might give her hope. And then, the next figure stepped forward. A man. The crowd laughed as soon as they saw him. He was human too, but unlike the woman, he was not in chains. He walked freely into the arena. He wore no armor, only simple clothes that were torn and dusty. His hands were empty. His body was not massive like the alien warriors around him. Compared to the beasts of other worlds, he looked small, weak, almost fragile. "Is this a joke?" one alien bellowed. "The human will die in seconds," another laughed. The warlord grinned wider. "Yes, he will die, and we will all enjoy it." But the man did not laugh. He did not flinch. He kept walking, calm and silent, until he stood in the center of the arena. His eyes lifted not to the crowd, not to the warlord, but to the woman. For one heartbeat, the noise of the arena seemed to fade. Their eyes met. Hers were filled with confusion. His were filled with fire. The warlord spread his arms. "The bet is set. The game begins. Fight, human, fight and die." The crowd screamed. The floor shook, and the gates at the edge of the arena began to open. From behind the iron bars came the first fighter, a massive alien with skin like stone, eyes like burning coals, and arms the size of trees. It roared, the sound echoing through the arena, and then charged. The human did not move. He stood still, calm, watching, waiting. The woman gasped. She thought he would run or cry out or beg for mercy, but he did none of these. At the last second, just as the alien's fist came crashing down, the human moved, not with power, not with speed alone, but with precision. He stepped aside, his hand flashing out, striking the alien's throat. The giant stumbled, choking. The human twisted, grabbed its arm, and with surprising force, pulled it down. The alien crashed against the stone floor, the sound echoing like thunder. Silence. For a long second, no one spoke. No one breathed. The crowd could not believe it. A human, this small, fragile creature, had brought down a monster. Then the silence broke. Screams of rage, shouts of disbelief, coins thrown in anger. The warlord's grin faded, replaced with a growl. His golden eyes narrowed, and in the stands the woman's eyes widened. For the first time since she had been dragged into this nightmare, she felt something she had not felt before. Hope. The human straightened, his chest rising and falling with slow, steady breaths. He did not smile. He did not look proud. He just turned his head, looked at her once more, and nodded. The message was clear. He was not here to lose. He was here to win. The arena still shook with noise. The giant alien lay broken on the ground, his body not moving, his pride crushed. And yet the human stood tall, calm and steady. The crowd could not understand. It was not strength, not size, not power that defeated the giant. It was something else, something no alien had seen before. The warlord rose from his throne. His yellow eyes glowed with anger, but also with curiosity. He slammed his tusked fist against the metal armrest, and the sound silenced the crowd. "This is only the beginning," the warlord roared. His voice rolled across the arena like thunder. "Do not believe the human is strong. He only won by chance. Luck. Nothing more." The crowd cheered again, but doubt filled their voices. They had seen with their own eyes. That strike, that precision, it was not luck. The warlord leaned forward, his golden eyes fixed on the human. "You, human, you dare step into my arena. Do you even know the price? Do you know the rules of this game?" The human lifted his head, his voice calm, his words simple. "I know enough." Gasps rippled through the audience. How dare a human speak so boldly? How dare he look the warlord in the eye? The warlord's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "Then listen well. This is not just a fight. This is not just for survival. This is a bet. And the wager is greater than gold, greater than ships, greater than power." He raised one massive hand, and the guards dragged the woman forward again. Her chains rattled as she stumbled into the light. Her dark eyes flashed with fury as she stared at the warlord, then at the human. "She is the prize," the warlord declared. His voice echoed through the vast chamber. "She belongs to the victor. Whoever wins claims her." The crowd howled in delight. Some laughed, some shouted, some called out the names of their champions. The woman clenched her fists, her voice breaking free. "I am not a prize," she cried. Her voice was strong, even in chains. "I am not your property." The warlord's laugh shook the walls. "You are what I say you are. Here in my arena, my word is law." The woman's cry faded as her eyes fell on the human again. For a moment she expected him to look away, to accept the cruel game. But he did not. His gaze locked on hers, steady, unshaken. The warlord pointed at him. "Human, you have won one fight, but can you win more? Can you survive my champions, my beasts, my monsters? Each battle will be harder than the last. Each round will test your body, your will, your very soul." The crowd chanted louder. "Fight! Fight! Fight!" The warlord spread his arms wide. "If you fall, the woman belongs to my strongest general. If you survive, she is yours. Do you accept the bet?" The arena grew quiet. Thousands of alien eyes turned to the human, waiting for his answer. He did not speak right away. His chest rose and fell with slow breaths. He looked once more at the woman. Chains held her down, but her spirit had not broken. She looked at him with fear, but also with a question. Why? Why would a human fight for her? Finally, he spoke. His words were simple but heavy. "I accept." The crowd exploded with noise. Some laughed, some cursed, others cheered for the blood that was sure to come. The woman shook her head, whispering, "Why? Why would you do this?" But the human only gave her the smallest nod. No smile, no pride, just quiet determination. The warlord's grin widened. "Good. Then let the next round begin. Let the bet be sealed in blood." He struck a gong beside his throne. The deep sound rolled through the arena, and gates began to creak open. From the darkness came the sound of claws scraping against stone. The crowd leaned forward, eager to see. The creature stepped into the light. It was not a warrior, not like the last one. This was something else, something more savage. Its skin was dark red, its mouth full of teeth sharper than blades, its tail long and coiled like a whip. 4 eyes glowed, burning with hunger. The woman gasped. She knew this beast. It was a hunter from the outer worlds, a predator that could kill 10 men in seconds. The aliens in the crowd cheered louder, slamming their fists, hungry for blood. The warlord laughed. "Face my hunter, human. Let us see if your little tricks can save you now." The human did not move. He stood where he was, his eyes locked on the beast. Slowly, he shifted his feet, lowering his body into a stance. His hands curled into fists. The woman's heart pounded. She wanted to cry out, to beg him to run, but her voice caught in her throat. The beast roared, the sound piercing the air, and charged forward. The human did not run. He waited. The crowd screamed. The warlord leaned forward, his golden eyes glowing brighter, and the woman watched. Her breath caught in her chest as the bet truly began. The gate slammed shut behind the beast. Its roar echoed through the arena like thunder, shaking the stone floor. The creature's 4 glowing eyes locked on the human. Its teeth dripped with thick saliva that hissed when it touched the ground. The crowd screamed with joy, chanting, "Kill him! Kill the human!" The warlord leaned forward on his throne, tusks gleaming in the light. His golden eyes burned with hunger for blood. He wanted to see the human broken, crushed, and torn apart. The woman stood in her chains, her breath caught in her throat. She had seen many creatures in her time, but nothing like this. The hunter from the outer worlds was bred for one thing only: killing. Even armed soldiers feared it. And now, a single unarmed human faced it alone. The beast moved low, its claws scraping sparks against the stone. Its long tail whipped behind it, cutting through the air with sharp cracks. It circled the human, testing him, waiting for the moment to strike. The human did not move. His breathing was calm, his stance balanced. He watched the beast with steady eyes, as if studying every twitch of its body. Then, without warning, the beast lunged. It shot forward like lightning, jaws wide open, teeth aimed for the human's neck. The crowd roared as one, expecting blood to fly in the air. But at the last second, the human dropped low. The beast's jaws snapped shut on empty air. Dust exploded as the man rolled aside, rising to his feet in one smooth motion. The alien crowd fell silent, shocked. The human had survived the first strike. The beast turned, its 4 eyes glowing brighter. It growled, a sound that made even the bravest warriors in the stands shift uncomfortably. Then it attacked again, faster this time, claws slashing. The human ducked, twisted, stepping back just enough to avoid the razor edges. His movements were not wild, not panicked. They were sharp, precise, like a dancer who knew every step before the music played. The warlord's fist slammed against the throne. "Fight back, human! Show me blood!" The crowd screamed with him, their voices shaking the walls. But the human ignored them. He was waiting. The beast slashed again, its claws striking sparks from the stone. One claw caught the edge of his shirt, tearing the fabric, but not the skin beneath. The woman gasped. He was close, too close. The human slid sideways, his eyes never leaving the beast. He whispered to himself, words the woman could not hear. The beast lunged once more, tail whipping forward like a spear. The sharp tip cut the air, aiming for the human's chest. This time, the man moved forward, not back. He stepped inside the strike, his hand grabbing the tail just below the blade. The crowd gasped as the beast shrieked, thrashing in rage. With a twist of his body, the human pulled, using the beast's own strength against it. The massive predator stumbled, crashing into the stone floor, dust and shards flying. The woman's eyes widened. He had thrown it. He had actually thrown the beast. The crowd exploded with noise, half in disbelief, half in rage. The beast roared louder, rising to its feet. Its tail lashed like a storm, cutting deep scars into the arena floor. Blood ran from its mouth where teeth had cracked against the stone. Its fury was greater now, a fire burning in its glowing eyes. The warlord leaned back, watching carefully. His grin was gone. His golden eyes narrowed. "This human," he muttered. "This is no ordinary man." The beast charged again, faster than before, claws and teeth flashing. The human dodged once, twice, but then a claw caught his shoulder. Blood sprayed across the stone. The crowd howled with joy. The woman cried out, her voice sharp and desperate. "No!" The human staggered, blood dripping down his arm. The beast circled again, sensing weakness. Its 4 eyes glowed brighter, eager to end the fight, but the man stood straight, his face calm, his eyes burning. He wiped the blood from his shoulder, then raised his fists again. The beast roared and leaped. This time the human did not step aside. He stepped forward, his hand shot up, striking the beast's jaw with a force that cracked bone. With the other hand, he drove his fist into the soft spot beneath its glowing eye. The beast screamed, stumbling back. The crowd fell silent again, unable to believe. The human did not stop. He followed, striking again and again, fast, precise, each hit aimed at a weakness. The beast thrashed, its tail lashing, but the human ducked under it, driving his knee into its chest. With a final shout, he twisted the beast's head and slammed it into the stone floor. The ground shook with the impact. Dust rose in a cloud. When it cleared, the beast lay still. Its glowing eyes dimmed, its breath gone. Silence. The arena was frozen. Thousands of eyes stared at the human who stood over the fallen hunter. His chest rose and fell, blood still dripping from his shoulder, but his gaze was steady. He looked up at the woman. For a moment, her chains did not matter. She felt the weight of his stare. He was telling her something without words. "You are not a prize. You are not a bet. You are worth fighting for." The warlord rose from his throne, his fists clenched, his teeth grinding. This was not the outcome he wanted. This was not the show he promised. But the rules of the arena were clear. The human had won again. And the first clash was only the beginning. The hunter's body lay broken on the stone floor. Dust still floated in the air. The crowd was not cheering now. They stared in shock as if they had just witnessed something impossible. The warlord leaned back on his throne, his tusks grinding together. His golden eyes burned with anger. The human had survived again, not by size, not by power, but by something else, something the warlord did not understand. The woman in chains could not look away. She had seen warriors fight. She had seen soldiers die. But this was different. The human did not fight like the others. Every move was measured. Every strike was chosen. He wasted nothing. He endured pain, but he never gave up. The warlord raised his hand. "This is not finished," he growled. His voice rumbled through the arena like thunder. "Send in the next one." The crowd roared again, eager for more blood. The gates creaked open, and a new challenger stepped forward. This time it was no beast. It was an alien warrior, tall and armored, his skin silver like steel. He carried a massive blade that shimmered with strange energy. His eyes glowed red, burning with the promise of death. The crowd cheered. "Yes, the Blade Master, cut him apart." The woman's breath caught. She knew of this fighter. A killer from the metal worlds, trained since birth in the art of the blade. No human should stand a chance against him. The warrior raised his weapon in salute to the warlord, then pointed it at the human. "You die here." His voice was cold, sharp as his blade. The human did not answer. He simply lifted his fists, ready. The gong struck. The fight began. The Blade Master moved fast, faster than anyone his size should. His blade whistled through the air, striking with deadly force. Sparks flew as the weapon cut deep lines into the arena floor. The human dodged, twisted, his feet sliding across stone. He was quick, but the blade was quicker. Each strike came closer, closer. The crowd cheered with every swing. The woman clenched her fists. He could not block such a weapon. He could not meet that strength head-on. He had to find another way. The human stepped back, letting the Blade Master chase him. He circled, eyes sharp, watching every move, every angle. He was not just avoiding. He was learning, the warlord growled from above. "Stop dancing, kill him!" The Blade Master roared and struck again, a wide slash that would have split the man in two. But the human ducked, rolling under the strike. He came up close, so close the blade could not reach. His fist shot forward, striking the warrior's ribs. The alien grunted, stumbling back. His armor had taken most of the blow, but his eyes widened in surprise. The human pressed the attack. He did not try to overpower the blade. He struck at joints, weak spots, soft gaps in the armor. A punch at the elbow, a kick at the knee, a strike at the throat. Each hit was precise, planned, patient. The Blade Master swung wildly, fury rising as his weapon missed again and again. Sparks lit the air, but the human stayed just out of reach, always one step ahead. The crowd grew restless. Some shouted for blood, others began to whisper. This was not luck, this was something else. The woman's eyes shone. She saw it clearly now. He was not fighting with brute strength. He was fighting with his mind. Every move was a puzzle, every strike a piece of the answer. The Blade Master grew tired. His swings slowed, his breath grew heavy. The human, though bleeding from cuts, still moved with calm precision. Then, at the perfect moment, the human struck. He stepped inside the warrior's guard, slamming his fist into the alien's throat. The blade clattered to the ground. The warrior staggered back, gasping for air. The human spun, his leg snapping out in a kick that struck the side of the alien's knee. Bone cracked. The warrior collapsed with a cry, his body crashing against the stone floor. Silence. The human stood over him, chest heaving, blood running from his shoulder and arm. But his eyes were steady, burning with quiet fire. The warlord slammed his fist on the throne, his roar shaking the walls. "Impossible! This is impossible!" The crowd shouted, some in rage, others in awe. They had come to see a weak creature die. Instead, they were seeing something else. Something greater. The woman's eyes filled with something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. The human turned his head, meeting her gaze again. He said nothing, but his look told her everything. He was not winning because of size. He was not winning because of power. He was winning because he refused to give up, because he refused to see her as a prize, because he saw her as a person worth fighting for. The warlord rose from his throne, his tusks gleaming in fury. "Enough games. The next fight will break him. I swear it." But deep inside, even he felt the first spark of fear. This human was not just strong, he was dangerous. The arena reeked of blood and dust. The Blade Master's broken body was dragged away, his weapon clattering across the stone as guards pulled him into the shadows. The crowd shouted, but their voices were no longer the same. Some cried for more blood. Others whispered in fear. The human had won again, and again. The warlord rose from his throne, his massive frame glowing in the red lights of the arena. His tusks gleamed as he snarled, his golden eyes burning like fire. "This cannot be," he roared, his voice echoing, off the walls. "No human has ever stood this long in my games. Enough tricks, enough chance, enough weakness disguised as strength." The crowd fell quiet. They could feel the shift. The warlord's rage filled the chamber like smoke. He raised his arm, pointing down at the human. "You want to defy me, human? You want to take what is mine? Then you will face my greatest warrior, my beast of war, the one even my generals fear." The gates groaned, heavier than before. The air itself seemed to tremble. From the shadows came a sound like thunder, the stomp of something massive. Chains rattled, then snapped. The woman in chains froze, her heart racing. She knew the sound. She had heard whispers of it in the warlord's camps. They called it the Crusher, and then it stepped into the light. It was larger than anything that had entered the arena before. Its skin was like dark armor, layered and thick. Spikes jutted from its shoulders and back. Its face was a mask of bone, with eyes that glowed red like burning coals. Each breath was a growl. In one hand it carried a weapon the size of a tree, half, hammer, half-axe. The crowd roared, their fear drowned by excitement. Crusher, crusher, crusher! The warlord spread his arms, his grin wide. Now the game ends. Now the human breaks. The human stood still. His chest rose and fell with slow, steady breaths. He was tired. His shoulder bled, his arms ached. But his eyes did not waver. The gong struck. The crusher moved. The ground shook with every step. Dust rose with each stomp. It raised its massive weapon high and brought it down with a force that shook the arena. The human rolled aside, the weapon smashing stone where he had stood. Shards flew through the air. The crowd screamed in joy. The human rose to his feet, but the crusher was already turning. Its weapon swung sideways, a wall of steel and death. The man ducked, the edge grazing his back. Blood spattered across the floor. The woman gasped, chains rattling as she strained against them. "No!" she cried. The crusher roared and charged, slamming its body into the human. The force sent him crashing against the stone wall of the arena. His body shook, blood spilling from his mouth. The crowd went wild. "Yes, yes, kill him!" The warlord laughed, tusks gleaming. "He cannot last. No human can stand against the crusher." The man slid down the wall, his vision blurring. The world spun around him, every breath burned like fire. His body screamed to stop, to fall, to give up. But then he heard it. The woman's voice. Weak, but desperate. "Please. Don't fall. Please." He lifted his head. Through the haze, he saw her eyes, not begging for her freedom, begging for his life, begging for hope. His hands clenched into fists. He forced himself to his feet. His chest rose again, steady. His eyes cleared. The crusher roared, charging once more, weapon raised. High, the human waited. His feet shifted, slow, careful. He breathed in, calm, and as the massive weapon came crashing down, he stepped aside, not with panic but with precision. The crusher's weapon struck stone again, sinking deep into the ground. For a moment, the beast was stuck. The human moved. He struck fast, fists and elbows slamming into the soft spots between the armor plates. One hit to the side of the neck, another to the joint of the shoulder, a third to the back of the knee. The crusher roared in pain, wrenching its weapon free. It swung again, but slower this time. The man ducked, rolled, came up behind the beast. His fist slammed into the spine, right where the armor plates met. The beast staggered. The crowd gasped. But it was not enough. The crusher spun, its massive hand sweeping through the air. It struck the human like a hammer, sending him flying across the arena. He hit the ground hard, rolling, blood pouring from his side. The woman screamed. The crowd cheered wildly. The warlord roared in triumph. "It ends now." The human struggled. To rise, his arms trembling, his vision dark. He fell once, then twice. His body was failing. The crusher stomped closer, raising its weapon for the final blow. The shadow of the weapon fell over the human. The crowd held its breath. The woman whispered, her voice breaking, "Please, stand." And then, with a groan of pain, the human rose again. Blood dripped from his mouth, his body shook, but his eyes were fire. He stared at the crusher, unbroken. The crowd gasped. Even the warlord froze. The human raised his fists one more time. The fight was not over. The turning point had come. The arena was silent. Dust floated in the air, broken stone covered the ground, and blood streaked across the human's torn shirt. The crusher towered over him, its weapon raised high. Its red eyes glowed with fury, ready to end him. The human stood, weak but unbroken. His legs shook, his arm bled, but his fists were still raised. His chest rose and fell with slow, steady breaths. The crowd held their breath. Even the warlord leaned forward, tusks gleaming, eyes sharp. The crusher roared and brought the weapon down. The human moved, not fast, not wild, but precise. But he stepped inside the swing, the massive blade grazing his back. With one final surge of strength, he drove his shoulder against the beast's chest. The crusher staggered. The man struck again, fists slamming into weak joints, elbows breaking, through the gaps in its armor. He moved like lightning, every blow aimed with purpose. The beast swung wildly, but the human was already inside its guard. Blood poured from his side. Pain burned in every limb, but his eyes never left the target. One strike to the throat, another to the spine, a final blow to the back of its head. The crusher stumbled, its massive knees buckling. The crowd gasped as the giant crashed to the ground, the sound echoing like thunder. Its weapon fell with a heavy clang, sparks flying. The human stood over it, chest heaving, sweat and blood covering his body. Slowly, the beast tried to rise, again its eyes glowing faintly. But the man did not let it. He stepped forward, placed his foot against the beast's chest, and pressed it down with all his weight. His fist rose, then struck once, hard and final. The glow in the crusher's eyes faded. Its chest stopped moving. Silence. The arena froze. Thousands of alien eyes stared at the small, bleeding figure who stood victorious over the greatest warrior of the warlord. The woman's breath caught. She had prayed, begged, hoped, and now it was real. He had done the impossible. He had won. The warlord rose from his throne, his roar shaking the chamber. "No! This cannot be! He is human, weak, fragile. How can he stand against the crusher?" But the crowd did not roar with him this time. They whispered, they pointed. They looked at the man with something new in their eyes. Not laughter, not scorn, respect. The woman's chains rattled as guards pulled her forward, dragging her into the center of the arena. She stumbled, but her eyes never left the man. The warlord's voice thundered again. "The rules are the rules. The bet was set. The human has won." He spat the words like poison. "The woman belongs to him." The guards shoved her toward him. Her chains clinked as she fell to her knees at his feet. But the man did not raise his hands in victory. He did not smile. He did not look at the crowd. Instead, he bent down, his hand gentle as he touched her shoulder. He helped her rise, steadying her. His other hand reached for the chains around her wrists. With one sharp twist, the locks snapped, loose. The woman gasped as the cuffs fell to the ground. For the first time in months, her arms were free. The crowd was confused. They had expected him to lift her high, to claim her like a prize. But he did not. He looked at her, his voice calm, but firm. "You are free now." The words struck her harder than any chain. Tears filled her eyes, but she held them back. She had been called many things: property, reward, bet, but never free. The warlord slammed his fists against his throne, tusks grinding. "She is yours. Take her as the prize, as the law commands." The human turned his head, his voice sharp. "She is not a prize. She is not a bet. She is not yours to give." The arena fell silent. Even the crowd, hungry for blood, could not ignore the weight of his words. The warlord's golden eyes narrowed. His tusked grin faded. For the first time, he looked uncertain. The human turned back to the woman, offering his hand. Slowly, still shaking, she placed her hand in his. The two of them stood together side by side, in the center of the arena. Not master and prize, not victor and reward, but equals. The crowd murmured, some in anger, some in awe. The whispers grew louder, spreading like fire. A human had not only defeated their champions, he had defied their laws. The warlord's voice boomed again, filled with rage. "You may have won the bet, human, but you have made yourself my enemy, and no enemy leaves this place alive." Guards moved, weapons raised, surrounding the arena. The woman's grip tightened on the human's hand. Fear filled her eyes again. But the human did not flinch. His eyes burned brighter than ever. He looked at her and spoke quietly. "This fight is not over. We are not done." And then, as the warlord's army closed in, the human pulled her close, ready to face them all. The victory was his, but survival would be the next battle. The arena was no longer cheering. The roar of the crowd had turned into something else, confusion, anger, fear. The human stood tall in the center of the blood-stained stone, his hand holding the woman's. Together they faced the warlord's fury. The warlord rose from his throne, his tusks gleaming, his golden eyes burning with rage. His voice shook the air. You defy me, human. You insult my law, my games, my empire. You win, yet you refuse your prize. Then you are not victor. You are rebel, and rebels die. The crowd erupted, half screaming for blood, half silent, caught between awe and terror. From the shadows, armored guards poured into the arena. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. The ground shook as more gates opened, releasing smaller beasts, each snarling, each hungry. The woman's grip tightened on the man's hand. Her voice was low, trembling. We cannot fight them all. The human's eyes stayed steady, fixed on the warlord. His voice was calm, though his body bled. We do not need to fight them all. We just need to escape. The warlord laughed, tusks flashing. Escape? No one escapes the arena of stars. You are mine. She is mine. You will both die here. The gong struck again. The attack began. The first guard rushed forward, spear raised. The human moved fast, pulling the woman behind him. He caught the spear mid-thrust, twisted, and drove it back into the guard's chest. The alien fell, his weapon clattering to the ground. Another guard swung a blade, sparks flying as it scraped across stone. The human dodged, elbowed him in the throat, and grabbed the weapon. He tossed it to the woman. Use it. Her eyes widened, her hands shaking as she gripped the blade. It felt heavy, but her fear gave her strength. The arena exploded with chaos. Beasts roared, guards charged, and the crowd screamed from the stands. The warlord shouted orders, his voice drowned in the storm of battle. The human fought like fire. Every move was sharp, controlled. He struck with fists, with stolen weapons, with anything he could grab. Blood poured from his wounds, but he did not stop. The woman stayed close, slashing chains, striking at guards who came too near. For the first time, she fought not as a captive, but as someone free. But the guards kept coming. There were too many. The human's breath grew heavy, his movements slower. The woman's arms ached, her legs shook. Then through the smoke and chaos, he saw it, high above, beyond the walls of the arena. A docking bay, ships waiting, engines glowing. Hope grabbed her hand. The ships, we go now. She nodded, eyes wide, and followed as he cut through the guards. They moved toward the far gate, fighting every step. The warlord roared from his throne, his voice shaking the walls. Do not let them reach the ships. Kill them both. More guards swarmed, but the human pushed forward. His mind was sharp, his body driven by will alone. He knew he could not win forever, but he could win enough. At the base of the arena, a stairway led upward toward the docking bay. The human and woman climbed, breath ragged, weapons red with blood. Guards chased, them shouts echoing behind. At the top they burst into the open hangar. The air was filled with the hum of engines, the glow of thrusters. Rows of ships waited, chained by docking clamps. The woman's eyes widened. Which one? All of them fly, he said. But we only need one. They sprinted toward the nearest vessel, a sleek black craft with sharp wings. Guards poured into the hangar, weapons raised. Energy blasts struck the walls, sparks flying. The human shoved the woman inside the ship. Strap in. What about you? She cried. He turned, blocking the entrance with his body. He fought the first guard at the ramp, then the second. His fists cracked bone, his stolen blade cut through armor. Blood sprayed the floor. More guards came. Too many. The woman shouted from inside. Come, please. At last, he leapt inside, slamming his hand against the control panel. The ship roared to life. The engine shook the hangar, the floor trembling. The warlord appeared at the hangar doors, his golden eyes burning with hate. His roar shook the air. You will not escape me, human. I will hunt you across the stars. The human's hands flew across the controls. The clamps released with a loud snap. The ship lifted, dust swirling in the blast of its thrusters. The warlord's guards fired, energy blasts streaking through the air. One struck the ship's wing, sparks flying. The woman cried out, holding tight. But the ship surged forward, tearing through the hangar doors, blasting into the cold dark of space. The arena of stars shrank behind them, a fading glow against the endless night. Inside the cockpit, silence fell. The woman's breath was shaky, her eyes wide. She looked at the man, still bleeding, still, steady at the controls. You saved me," she whispered. He turned his head, his voice calm but heavy. "No. We saved each other." For the first time she smiled. Not because she was free, but because she believed. The warlord's empire still waited. His armies still spread across the stars. But now a human had stood against him, and won, and the galaxy would never be the same again.